L'ultimo round, ripeto, della serie continentale Shell e tutte le categorie del campionato nordamericano. Abbiamo la griglia di partenza che, ripeto, si andrà a completare nei prossimi minuti, un programma che prevede lo start di questa gara alle ore 15:25, in circa 12 minuti per le preparazioni della griglia di partenza, paddock dell'autodromo del Mugello, sempre gremitissimo di amici, questa importante iniziativa di Ferrari che ha aperto il paddock a tutti gli amici che si sono iscritti nel link disponibile sul sito Ferrari Corsi Clienti e anche sul sito dell'autodromo del Mugello per l'iscrizione a questo grande evento conclusivo della stagione 2015, la chiusura dei campionati Ferrari Challenge, campionato nordamericano, campionato Asia Pacifico e campionato europeo. Gli appuntamenti con le Ferrari Corsi Clienti, la Ferrari Corsi Clienti, Ferrari Formula 1 Clienti e le serie FXX599 e FXX Coppa. Un weekend che, ripeto, avrà il suo momento di grande culmine magari con le due finali mondiali, le esibizioni X e Ferrari, che è uno dei tracciati più belli d'Europa. Un grande grazie anche al meteo che indubbiamente ha aiutato questo weekend, giornate bellissime. Primavera autunnale con temperature veramente invidiabili, un sole che ci accompagnerà in queste giornate, sarà, secondo la previsione del protagonista, anche domani. Domani aspettiamo ovviamente tanti amici, due granite, una grande show che darà, ripeto ancora una volta, il team di Formula 1 protagonista, avremo tanti ospiti, soprattutto attesissimi, due titolari, Serfette e chi mirà per le esibizioni in pista, ripeto, avremo una grande show, questo mini gran premio, come abbiamo definito.
Welcome back to Mugello in the sunshine as the finale Mondiali of the Ferrari Challenge continues. It's race 2 for the Coppa Shell drivers and the North American drivers as well, all on track for this. The final race actually in the Coppa Shell Championship for the year, although the World Final's still to come tomorrow. Emmanuel Anastas then is on pole position as our North American drivers have taken the fast pill in qualifying. And that's where we are, Mugello, racers.ferrari.com, the website for you to check out everything that you would like to know about the Ferrari Challenge. Here, the Mugello circuit, the very technical 5.2-kilometer circuit, which proves to be quite difficult upon which to overtake. It's a very technical circuit, but it's a circuit that the North American driver, Gregory Romanelli, has certainly got the master of course, from Pisa originally, and therefore is very, very familiar with this track. And that familiarity was clear to see in the race yesterday, highlights of which we'll be seeing very, very soon. So Gregory Romanelli then in a good position from pole position today. It's a big grid of cars, some 36 cars out there on the track, and lots of fans, young and old, to enjoy the Ferrari Challenge. There's Imperato then in car number 291, another one of the North American drivers representing Ferrari of Long Island. And the thumbs up as he takes on some well-needed fluid before the race gets underway. There is our Coppa Shell champion for Europe, who took the Coppa Shell championship yesterday. Jacques Diver receiving his final instructions from Kessel. And there is Gautam Singhania, who won the race yesterday and joined us in commentary earlier today. So Gautam Singhania goes from P13 on the grid. P13 for Gautam Singhania. Only one way for him to go, and that will be forward, that's for sure. Weiland then, P3, representing Ferrari of San Francisco. And there's Jacques Diver's partner, Nicole, alongside the 192 car. Some of the fans then about to enjoy the action here at Mugello. What's it like at Mugello? Well, here comes our postcard of the venue for you to enjoy now. So a little snapshot of what it's like here at Mugello for this round 7 in the Ferrari Challenge, and it is the final weekend. We have 2 world final races to come tomorrow for both the Coppa and Trofeo Pirelli cars, chasing that coveted gold roof to become the best in the world. Gautam Singhania then took his maiden victory yesterday, and the Kessel racing driver, the first Indian to take a race win in the European Ferrari Challenge. There's Zoe's car, Mike Zoe, Ferrari of Fort Lauderdale. Final instructions being passed on to him. And then the 151 car of Thomas Loflad for Stylev Squadra Corsa, and big thumbs up from Thomas. Good to see him on the grid. So you can see just how delightful the weather has been here at Mugello. And there is Eric Prinot, who for much of this season is currently P3 in the points, and many would have bet on him taking the championship this year, but it all went awry towards the end of the season. Here's the race from yesterday. A big grid of cars headed up towards the gantry and the lights, and Gautam Singhania on pole position was in a great position to convert that P1 into the race win. Eric Prinot chased hard. Jacques Diver was driving a very protected race, knowing what he needed to do was bank the points to secure the championship. Manuela Gosner getting together there, and 2 cars being spun around. We can see it from on board as other drivers following had to take evasive action to avoid the stricken 458s. This was the first of Holger Harmsen's trips into the gravel, and at the same place. He had 2 excursions. One man that didn't have an excursion, despite being pressured by Eric Prinot, was Gautam Singhania. Christian Kinch and Jacques Diver getting together, and plenty of others got together during the course of the race as well. Gautam Singhania not putting her foot wrong, taking the chicane with ease. Whatever Eric Prinot was able to throw at him, it was never going to be enough, as Gautam Singhania took his maiden win in the Ferrari Challenge, much to the delight of his JHS racing team. What a fantastic sight. Grid packed with 458s. There's the Canadian racer Rick Lovett, who drives for Kessel Racing. Looking very mean with the visor down on the crash helmet. Normally we get a thumbs up from Rick Lovett, but not today. There we can just see his car, 112. There's Tommy Lindroth, the beer hunter. And then Tommy Lindroth. He is one of the great characters of the paddock, is Tommy. And here comes the grid in full for you right now. Romanelli and Onassis then on row 1, with Weiland and Imperato on row 2 of the grid. All the social media at the bottom of the page as well as we scroll through the grid for you. So first 4 places, then we see Garber and Jack Diver, then Rick Lovett and Thomas Loflad. John Ferrano, then Dirk Adamski, the returning Dirk Adamski. Then it's Mike Zoy and Fons Skeltemar in a new livery this round. Then we see Gautam Singhania, yesterday's race winner, Tommy Lindroth, Thomas Gosner and Eric Prinot. Then it's Haladik and Romanelli and Sada and Paul van Loonhout is there, P20. Christian Kinch, Kriton Lendudis and Delatra and Eric Chung. Lendudis and Eric Chung being out in their Formula 1 course Clienti cars. Courtney and Cagnazzi and Holger Harmsen and Kuharudulu, Zeckelman, O'Neill, Gosner, Palkra, Dusan Palkra down there, P32 on the grid with Manuela Gosner and Heggie and Roberta Carver, and bringing up the rear, Christian Hobone for Scuderia Auto Roper. So, as I mentioned then, some drivers have been out in their Formula 1 Clienti cars that they own. Kriton Landodis, one of them, and Eric Chung, another as well. Eric Chung, of course, owning a car raced by Kimi Räikkönen, and Kimi Räikkönen here across the course of the weekend as well. Doors closed on the 144 car. We're about to go racing. Well, there's always glamour when it comes to the Finali Mondiali. And that is the view of the really rather crowded paddock, and it's going to be even more crowded tomorrow as everyone here for the world final races. Just a few seconds away from the safety car being released then. It's always a rolling start for the Ferrari Challenge races, and the safety car will be released and then the cars will follow some moments afterwards. That's the man that is controlling the race start. The safety car is released, and stand by for the cars to be released some moments afterwards. Everyone inching forward on the grid. So the safety car being driven by Beppe Scanetti then, a fine driver who certainly knows his way around this Mugello circuit. We await the green flag then as we have a camera up there on the starters rostrum, and away we go then on the formation lap. Romanelli and Nassis then on the front row of the grid with Weiland and Imparato, before we see Garber and Jacques Diver and Rick Lovett and Thomas Loflad and John Ferrano and Dirk Adamski rounding out the first 5 rows of the grid. And with the North American and European drivers all mixed up on this grid, as once again the social media is on screen for you there. Do check out the social media. Well, that grid is very, very mixed up, and expect the European drivers to try and make their way through the grid, but up against Gregory Romanelli, who we're on board with right now, who of course has experience of this track by dint of him originally coming from Pisa. Being pointed out by my assistant here in the comms booth that Kriton Lendudis may have failed on the start line, may be stuck on the grid. We'll find out if that is the case. Certainly our track map monitor, which monitors the GPS from the cars, would suggest that car number 131, that of Kriton Lendudis, is still on the grid and hasn't made the formation lap start. Now, if they can get the car going, then he can catch up with the rest of the pack. All of a sudden, his car has disappeared off our timing screen map. So hopefully 131 has got going. That the car of, say, Kriton Lendudis. On board the Hublot safety car then, as the cars have caught the safety car up on the formation lap. And the GHS team responsible for Gautam Singhania, who took the win yesterday from the pit wall. Just checking on our map to see whether it was a faulty transponder in the 131 car, potentially. Certainly no visions of that car being left on the grid, which we would have picked up by now. The marshal holds the board that says to the drivers, get into grid order behind the safety car. The Kessel racing team, and look on. Kessel represented by a number of drivers in the grid, including that of Jacques Diver, the champion, and yesterday's race winner Gautam Singhania. So they head up towards the final turn, which is turn 14, the Bucina turn. And there are many people in the grandstands and above the paddock watching on for this Coppa Shell race to get underway. Zeckelman's 399 car. So the safety car does peel off into the pit lane. All the cars are in grid order now. Jacques Diver looking very lively from the third row of the grid already as Romanelli backs them all up. And we'll bring you the lights. There they are at the top of your screen. We've got a great view of the gantry as the lights will go from red to green now. 30 seconds of racing to come. Jacques Diver to the outside, then Rick Lovett to the outside on the other side of the track. Rick Lovett then is on the runoff area as they head up towards turn 1. Eric Prenot, another man that's trying to make a charge as well. Are they all going to get through turn 1 unscathed? Quite a tight turn. This whole track is very technical. The key to it is being very, very smooth and quick. Not too many opportunities to overtake. But hanging around the outside there is Imperato, but he does lose out. Didn't make that stick. Romanelli, Onassis, and then it's Weiland, then Imperato, who tried to move up to P3. Then it's Garber and Lovett and Frano and Jacques Diver. Then Dirk Adamski and Zoyan von Skeltermar and Gowdy moved up a place from P13 to P12. There is the Gautam Singhania car, wearing the colours of India. We go on board right now and see what it's like as the sun is beginning to set here. He moved up a place from P13 to P12. There is the Gautam Singhania car, wearing the colours of India. We go on board right now and see what it's like as the sun is beginning to set here at Mugello, low in the sky. We're on board with Mike Zoy then, making our way around this Mugello circuit, a very, very packed grid of 36 cars, and all of them having got away. Obviously a faulty transponder on the Kriton Lendudis car. Yes, Kriton Lendudis is indeed being shown on our timing screen, but out of position with regards to his starting. So perhaps it wasn't a faulty transponder, perhaps he did have a problem on the grid, but managed to get it going and has started from the back. So Romanelli then leads the race, being chased by Onassis. And the best of the European drivers to show is actually Rick Lovett at the moment in P7. So our North American challenge drivers. Weiland under pressure from Imperato. Imperato following him all the way, as you can see, and goes to the outside now. Inside is the silver livery 218 Weiland car. Then it's the Imperato machine in 291 right behind. So this is the battle for P3. Long lap here, some 5.2 kilometers. And here in replay then, did wonder whether we were going to get away with no problems, and it's the 198 car of Eric Chung is the one that's stuck in the gravel there. Whether he managed to get it going from there. There's von Skeltermar, Kessel driver, with a very unfamiliar livery in that number 177 machine for this weekend. And there the Ferrari 259 car, chasing down Garber ahead of him. Christian Hobom in car number 195 is passed by the Kriton Lendudis car, who's trying to make up following his back of the grid start. Kriton Lendudis And Eric Chung did rejoin in the 198 machine. We saw him out on the gravel just a few moments ago, but pleasingly he managed to dig the car out of it. Christian Hobom is one of the drivers that's coached by Babalus, who runs in the Trofeo Pirelli and has been victorious in 2 out of 2 races this weekend. So he has a great driver coach, and it's been really good to see how Christian Hobom has lifted his pace across the course of the season. Holger Harmsen we see going through there, and Manuela Gosner as well, and Corinna Gosner too. So there is Holger Harmsen in the Treble 1 car, the German driver from Dusseldorf, and 2:08 being passed by Vladimir Hladek. Islanders P3 still, despite the fact that Imperato is keeping the pressure on. As you can see, the battle for 3rd position that's playing out here at Mugello in this 2nd of 2 Coppa Shell races across the weekend in the Coppa Shell series, with the Coppa Shell World Final race still to come tomorrow. The race for the gold roof, as we pitch all the drivers from Europe, North America and Asia Pacific into one World Championship race. Jacques Diver then is the European Coppa Shell champion in car number 192. Currently running down there in P9. He has Dirk Adamski ahead of him and Rick Lovett as well. Dirk Adamski in the 199 car there. You can see the all-red Dirk Adamski car. There is Jacques Diver. Behind Jacques, 2 of his Kessel teammates. It's von Skeltermar and Gautam Singhania. Gautam Singhania, the race winner from yesterday. Now all over the back of the Garber car is Ferrano, trying to find a way through and wind Garber into perhaps making a mistake. Yellow flag between turns 8 and 9. Try and pick up who we've lost. Might be Manuela Gosner. Another lap completed then. And there is Garber, who is being hounded by Ferrano, and very soon he's going to have Rick Lovett and Dirk Adamski for company, as well as Jacques Diver as well. Rick Lovett, the Canadian racer, into his 2nd season in the Ferrari Challenge. Another very likeable paddock character is Rick Lovett. We're on board with Jacques Diver, fighting there with Dirk Adamski. And is Jacques going to get the better of Dirk Adamski? That a brilliant super slow-mo shot, and there's Manuela Gosner. Did figure that Manuela Gosner may have been the cause of that yellow flag around the turn 8 area, and that will be the reason why the young lady racer's car is beached in the gravel here at Mugello. Romanelli is up the road some 1.1 seconds over Onassis in P2, and this is the fight that's going on for P3 at the moment between the cars of Weiland and Imperato. And there was a sneaky look up the inside. Didn't pay off, didn't work on that occasion. Weiland knows that he's got that pressure. Maintaining a good pace nonetheless, because the European drivers behind haven't quite been able to get on terms with these two yet. So through the Materazzi chicane, heading towards the Casanova turn. Beg your pardon, they're further around the lap than I thought, around the Bucina turn now to complete another lap. So they were going through the Blondetti chicane. And across the timing line they go. Been another incident there, because we can see the gravel being thrown and spewed all across the track by the 133 car, which has obviously had an excursion out onto the gravel. And Kuhada-Ruglu chucks a load of that gravel all over the track. There he is, he gets it ever so sideways, and then beautifully distributes that like a sander right across the circuit, so they'll all pick those marbles up as they come through there now. Be careful through that corner. Somebody that may have come off as a consequence of that is Roberta Carver in the 187 machine. Carver now manages to get the car back, pointing in the right direction. Thomas Gosner there in 161. Ahead of him is, I think it was Eric Prinot. Yes, indeed, Eric Prinot. They're out of the same stable, Eric Prinot and Thomas Gosner and Tommy Lindroth. Tommy Lindroth from Barron's service team. And this in replay. And that was through the final turn. That was the Roberta Carver car. And, well, the gravel being thrown up off the back of the 144 machine of Vladimir Hladek. Here is our race leader then, Gregory Romanelli, who has got a very comfortable margin of 1.5 seconds up the road. As he completes another lap, Romanelli, Onassis and Ferrano, the 1, 2, 3 of our North American racers and in the race overall. On board with Gregory Romanelli for the collection. Great to get this driver's eye view as he wears our helmet camera. Oh, just a little bit of oversteer, which he corrected on the steering wheel, as you can see. And the gap now is up to 2.5 seconds. Driving like an absolute demon, Gregory is. On the podium, of course, yesterday. Proving the fact that he knows this Mugello circuit inside out. And that circuit knowledge really playing into his hands. Through the chicane he goes, just kisses the apex, back down on the power. The 4,400cc power plant that propels these 458 Evo cars around this track. Onassis then with nothing to offer at the moment from the Ferrari of Quebec car, because that margin is now 2.693 seconds between P1 and P2, and then it's a further 8 seconds back before we get into Weiland, who of course has lost time as he's continually battled with Imperato. That battle for P3, which as you can see in replay, continues. We're on board with Jacques Diver, who turns in, but turned in and the car pushed on, and that will have allowed others to get past. So there's Weiland, who's leading for the AM category in North America, but it's actually P3 in the race overall, defending from Imperato, who's P2. Then it's Garber and Zoe, Ps 3 and 4 in the AM category of North America, because we have 2 categories. And then diving up the inside then, that was a brave but good move by Ferrano, who got the better of Garber there. So Ferrano moves up a further place, and that will put him into P5 in the race overall. And now that he's been released from the clutches of Garber, you can see just how much quicker Ferrano is. Weiland is still doing his level best to stick his elbows out and keep Imperato behind him, making that 458 as wide as he possibly can. There's Rick Lovett, who's got Dirk Adamski for company now in the 199 machine. Jacques Diver losing out earlier on when we saw him go very, very wide to von Skeltermaar, who is running in P9 in that unfamiliar livery for von Skeltermaar. Rick Lovett then for Kessel Racing. And Rick Lovett is the leader in the European Challenge race. It's Lovett, Adamski, Skeltermaar, Diver. The 1, 2, 3, 4 with Gautam Singhania P5, Loflad P6, then Hladek and Eric Prinot occupying the next position. So really good driving from Rick Lovett, as we see Eric Chung out again. And Eric Chung out with the Dusan Palkra car as well. And this is how it happened. Well, you have to say that Eric Chung tried that overtake from a very, very long way back and was on the grass. And I would think that Dusan Palkra is going to feel pretty aggrieved about that. like to see that again in replay, because it just appeared that Eric just took to the grass. Meantime, Weiland continues to hold Imperato behind. And we're approaching half distance in this Coppa Shell race. And the live gap is 4/10. So Imperato is turning the wick up once again. And it will start to harry Weiland ahead and try and provoke Weiland into making a mistake so that he can take advantage of it. He is all over the back of the 458 ahead. So we stick with this battle at the moment. Romanelli is some 5.5 seconds up the road in first place, and again Imperato just trying to find just the smallest of gaps, smallest of mistakes to be made by the Weiland car as Imperato continues to keep that pressure on. Fascinating to watch how in certain turns Weiland is quicker than Imperato. Ferrano then, who is running in P5 in the race overall. Before we're back to Garber and Rick Lovett. Just a tiny error then from the Canadian in 112. Able to gather it all up though and not allow Dirk Adamski to get too much closer. But in this battle between Imperato and Weiland, which Weiland is leading at the moment in P3 and Imperato is P4, through the chicane they go. Another 14.5 minutes for Weiland to try and hold on to this place. Around the final turn he goes, and we're on board with Jacques Diver, who loses out to Gautam Singhania, who moves up a further place. So Singhania now is up into P10. There, super slow-mo replay, and that's just how hard they are pushing down there on the pit wall. We watch on. And that's all there is between them. 2 100ths jolly near. Of course, whilst they are fighting, Ferrano is getting ever closer. Lovett at the moment not that much closer to Garber, and I thought he might be by now. He's going to have Dirk Adamski pushing him very, very hard shortly, and then it will be Fon Skeltermar and Gautam Singhania, and Gautam is the one that looks the most lively out of all of them at the moment. A battle for 7th position between Rick Lovett and Dirk Adamski, and Fon Skeltermar 2. Gautam Singhania right behind Fon Skeltermar now. And those are the standings. Gautam, having had such a torrid time here at Mugello earlier in the year, jolly pleased to be back on the podium again as Holger Harmsen goes through on the Manuela Gosner car, and so too a handful of others as well. And that's back down there, would you believe, in sort of P23. Oh, and just a little bit of a sideways moment there for Gautam Singhania, getting out onto some of the marbles that have been thrown onto the track in his quest to get on terms with Fon Skeltermar ahead, and Jacques Diver pushing him. Well, of course, Jacques has been passed by Gautam Singhania. They're teammates together. Jacques Diver has done all the hard work and won the championship, and of course his focus will be on lifting the world final race tomorrow, as now again under pressure comes Weiland from Imperato behind. Whatever Imperato's thrown at the car ahead, he's not been able to make it stick yet, and this is the battle for P3 overall, which has stayed this way for a number of laps. So wherever Imperato tries to find just a gap, The gap is filled by the 2:18.458 of Weiland ahead. So the Silver Machine, driven by James Weiland, driving a blistering race, to be fair. And hasn't had a hope of Imperato trying to find a way past yet. Still have 11 and a bit minutes of the race to run. And still James Weiland and Anthony Imperato battle together. Then we get to the EU battle, and now Dirk Adamski is right on the back of Rick Lovett, which is the battle for P7 overall. There's Eric Prinot, many favoured for the championship title this year, running down there in P8. So Rick Lovett then, who is in P7, is the one that is under pressure now from Dirk Adamski. Returning to the series, it's Thomas Gostner down there in P16 and Eric Prinot. And now again, Anthony Imperato tries to find a way past the James Weiland car. Still nothing doing, and whilst all this is going on, Ferrano is getting ever closer. John Ferrano in 2:59 is there, just closing in onto the back of the Anthony Imperato car. Now just receiving a message up on screen that says driver number 198, that's Eric Chung, is to report to the stewards after the session. And I'm probably not surprised by that, having seen that move on the grass, which took out Dusan Pulcra as a consequence. We've lost Manuela Gostner and Eric Chung and Dusan Pulcra, and also Kriton Lendoudis. So we're down to 32 cars on track for the remaining 9¼ minutes of this race, which is being led by Romanelli as Jacques Diver. Replay there with Gautam Singhania. So Diver goes back ahead of Gautam Singhania. Indeed he has. And Rick Lovett has seen off the challenge from Dirk Adamski for now, as Gautam Singhania once again puts the pressure on Jacques Diver. These three in fairness, the three cars of Singhania, Diver and Kessel's von Skeltermar, all racing for that Kessel team. Von Skeltermar pushing Dirk Adamski very hard, which is why Rick Lovett has got up the road, because Dirk Adamski has had to refocus his attention on defending against von Skeltermar, the Netherlands-based driver. And Singhania is lining up Jacques Diver once again. Look at this, it's virtually welded to the back of that 458. So Singhania and Diver side by side as they go into turn one, but there is Dirk Adamski. Now it's a long way around the outside and is uphill as Singhania gets sideways and is on the grass. So Gautam Singhania will be able to recover from there, but he will have lost a handful of places and probably more besides. Trying to go around the outside of Jacques Diver, it didn't work. There's Thomas Gostner in 161, so the returning Gautam Singhania is now behind Eric Prinot. So he's rejoined in P15 now for Gautam Singhania. And this is how it all happened. Well, Jacques, to be fair, was on the curbs. He couldn't really go any further, and Gautam turned in. Well, Gautam Singhania's hopes perhaps of a win and another podium in these two races probably gone away now. So the battle for 8th position, bear in mind that that's the battle for 8th position within the category that they're racing, which is the Coppa Shell European. It's actually the battle overall for P14, as Tommy Lindroth is just lining up Thomas Gostner in his target sights. And now Ferrano is on the back of these two. So, all of a sudden, Anthony Imperato is having to go from attack to defend mode, which will allow James Wyland to rub his hands with invisible soap, because it should allow him to get up the road a little bit. The incident involving cars 192 and 180, which is Gautam Singhania and Jacques Diver, is under investigation. Well, there's me saying that Anthony Imperato is going to have to go into defence mode. It doesn't look like it. He's continuing to attack James Wyland, perhaps pushed on by Ferrano in 259, who is right on the back of them at the moment. John Ferrano. There's von Skeltermar, Jacques Diver. And then it's Vladimir Hladek, and out is Rick Lovett. I was just beginning to wonder what's happened to the 112 Canadian racer, and that's what's happened. Turned around the wrong way. Was that a spin? Oh, we can see it from there. I think there probably was contact. Jacques Diver doing well to avoid any contact there. I'd like to see another replay of that, because we couldn't really tell whether Rick Lovett was pushed into that. There's the Eric Prenot car. We were watching the Mike Zoy car just a moment ago. Who, of course, is ahead of Eric Prenot on track. So there they are racing together. Mike Zoy in 208, Eric Prenot in 181. Wearing the Motorsport.com logo. And there, confirmation of the incident between Jacques Diver and Gautam Singhania, which we saw just a while ago, is under investigation. So we're into the final 5 minutes of this race. Gautam Singhania's pace has slipped away a bit since he's off onto the grass. Still go away from this weekend and still has the world final race to come. He'll be very, very happy with his achievements as Eric Prenot now lines up Mike Zoy as they head towards turn one. Goes to the outside of him. He needs to get his nose in front, and he's done it on pure pace. If he can scrub off the speed and turn in, that will be a really, really good overtake from Eric Prenot. Another one of those drivers that knows this Mugello circuit inside out. And this is a replay of the incident between Gautam Singhania and Jacques Diver, which will be investigated after the race. I really think that Jacques was in any way at fault there. He held his line and Gautam really turned in across him. There is Dirk Adamski in car number 199, chasing down the Garber car ahead of 266, Ross Garber. And Dirk Adamski. Dirk Adamski, familiar Ferrari Challenge racer, who's hoping to put together a full campaign next season. Hope so too, the likeable German. Just saw at the bottom of that picture there whether Ferrano was managing to get by Anthony Imperato. Whichever way you look, there's battles going on here. And Dirk Adamski is certainly pushing the Garber car ahead. Hasn't yet been able to find a way by. And running out of laps in which to do it. There's von Skeltermar. Missing the shark's teeth, which normally adorn the front of his 458. Well, Ferrano looked like he was making a charge on Imperato, but it, according to the timing screen, didn't stick. So Dirk Adamski has got 2 seconds over von Skeltermar, so Dirk Adamski is able to continue this fight with the 266 car of Ross Garber. Von Skeltermar might just come under a bit of pressure from Jacques Diver before the end. Not sure. We only have the remainder of this lap and one more to do. There's Eric Prenot. And just in the distance here, you can see the Gautam Singhania car as well. So the incident involving cars 192 and 180, no further action, we're being told, which doesn't altogether surprise me. Jacques had really nowhere to go. He was right on the curbs, and as I say, Gautam really turned across the front of him. So through the chicane, and Gregory Romanelli has a 14-second advantage at the front over Onassis in P2, and it's the Onassis car that we look at. So Gregory Romanelli then with a masterful drive. Onassis crosses the timing line now, and the margin is 14.6 seconds between P1 and P2 in the race overall. And this then, confirmation of the last lap, the blue flag being shown. And now it's the final challenge potentially from Imperato, who has sat behind that 218 car virtually for the entire race and has not been able to pressure James Wyland into making a mistake. All credit to James Wyland. Anthony's got to find a way round, and he hasn't been able to do that. This, our race leader then, Gregory Romanelli, who has not put a foot wrong and has shown that his supremely advanced knowledge of this Mugello circuit, despite the fact he's North American racer, Italian by descent, and from the Pisa region, which is not so very far away from here. He knows this Mugello circuit inside out, and that track knowledge has paid dividends so far this weekend, and he will, barring any problems in the final few turns, be taking a win here in a race overall in the Finali Mondiali, as we pitch our Coppa Shell European drivers with our North American Series drivers as well. So the 238 car rounds the final turn and will head towards the checkered flag and take a win here at Mugello in the Finali Mondiali weekend. The checkered flag flies. So Romanelli takes the win in the race overall. And, well, that was a shame, because Imperato has ended up going round. It's allowed Ferrari to get ahead of Weiland. So it all changes. So Ferrari takes P3. Weiland will take P4. Imperato might be able to get back going again, but hasn't crossed the line yet. So it's Adamski P5, Garber P6, then it's Diver Skeltamar. Imperato takes P11. That's how many places he lost out. Be good to see that final knockings effort again, which was clearly a sign of desperation as they headed towards the checkered flag, but a fine win. There's Christian Hobone for Scuderia Autoropa. Christian Hobone, coached, as I mentioned, by the Trofeo Pirelli driver Babalus, who has been ultra successful so far this weekend, taking 2 wins out of 2 starts. Now there we can see that desperate move to overtake, which played into the hands of Giant Ferrano, who was able then to inherit P3. So it's Romanelli, Onassis and Ferrano that we'll see on the podium for the race overall. And incidentally, they're all Pirelli North America drivers. Then for the AMS, it'll be Weiland and Garber and Imperato. And for Europe, it'll be Dirk Adamski and Jacques Diver and von Skeltamar. The marshals put on a nice flag display at the end of the Coppa Shell race. And the cars will make their way to Parc Fermé. And we're on board with the Gregory Romanelli car. Victorious, thumbs up, will make his way into Parc Fermé. All the cars coming down the pit lane now. Cars finishing in the end, and Christian Hobohm finishing in P28 ahead of Grina Gosner and Heggie and Carver and Lovett and Manuela Gosner as well. Good drive. So as you can see, a very, very busy pit lane indeed. In the background you can hear applause being offered already as some of the cars doing a three-pointer before they go into Parc Fermé. The Onassis car is already parked up. So Emmanuel Onassis and there the James Wyland car. You did perfect. Awesome. Okay. Of course, you'll be seeing the calendar for the 2016 season up on screen very, very soon. It includes the Finali Mondiali, this event next year, will be at Daytona. Dirk Adamski takes the win for Europe, and it'll be Jacques Diver and Fons Skelterma on the podium as well. Steady on. What about that for delight? Oh, steady on, Gregory. So Gregory Romanelli then for North America. There's Jacques Diver. Always looks a bit curmudgeonly getting out of the car, has to be said. He's a fit fellow, but does take it out of him, that's for sure. More than can be said for Gregory is being thrown around there as he seals the win. Right, let's look back at the highlights of the race that we've just seen. Here's the snapshot. 36 cars head towards the lights for the Coppa Shell and North American race. Both Rick Lovett and Jacques Diver take it to the wide outside of the Mugello track to try and make progress. Around at turn 1. Which goes uphill. This was a battle that was going to rage for the entire race. There were skirmishes going on. Eric Chung was out in the gravel and took O'Neill with him. This was a race-long fight that went on between James Wyland and Anthony Imperato. And whatever Anthony Imperato was able to throw at the Vyland car ahead wasn't quite able to find a way past. Jacques Diver and Gautam Singhania, both from the Kessel Racing stable, got together, and Singhania was the big loser. And whilst initially looked at by the race stewards, in the end it was decided that it was a racing incident and no penalties needed. Gautam penalising himself sufficiently. Gregory Romanelli was in a class of his own for North America as he took the checkered flag. Well, at last we see the shark's teeth. They may not be on the front of the car, they're on the crash helmet of von Skeltermars. And there is the Dirk Adamski car. How lovely for him to take a win here at the World Final weekend. And collection of podiums to come, and we'll be heading up to the podium here at Mugello next. There's the Jacques Diver machine. He seemed to manage to get a bollard over as he made his way into Parc Fermé. So, podium next then. So we return to the Dirk Adamski Sergio racing car. Just in the background, some of the Formula One Clienti cars as well. Nice wrap round by our cameraman of the Dirk Adamski car. He takes the win in the European race. Taking P3 is von Skeltermar. P2, here comes Jacques Diver. And Dirk Adamski makes it to the top step of the podium on his return. He'll be really, really pleased about that. It's congratulated by von Skeltermar and congratulated by Jacques Diver as well. Here comes the German national anthem.
Presente i trofei dottor Paolo Poli, amministratore delegato Mugello Circuit.
So Paolo Poli, then the Chief Executive Officer of Mugello Circuit, makes the trophy presentation first of all to von Skeltermar, to Jacques Diver, and to Dirk Adamski, who takes the win.
Dottor Poli per il team Autohaus Saggio.
And Autohaus Saggio then take a fabulous trophy. There's the permed hair of Nicky Cadai. We can see. So the Shark von Skeltermar then. Takes the gentleman trophy as well.
Abbraccio con anche la rappresentante del team Autohaus Saggio che ricordo vince con.
So everyone together for the photos.
Gara 2 riservata al trofeo Coppa Shell Europa.
Coppa Shell Europe podium that we're seeing first of all.
La battaglia con lo champagne verde.
So Jacques Diver tries very hard to defend then, but was in a position where he got utterly soaked. So von Skeltermar, Jacques Diver and Dirk Adamski all enjoying their celebratory moment up there on the podium, and that's really, really good to see. Here then, classification of the race overall. It was Romanelli and Onassis, and Farano took the 1, 2, 3, and also took the 1, 2, 3 in the Pro North American class. Then it will be Weiland and Garber that we'll see in the AM North American, and we've seen Adamski and Diver and Skeltermar on the podium, the 1, 2, 3 in the European Coppa Shell. So the podium will be readied because someone will be up there with a mop to get rid of the champagne. So the podium can be readied for the next of a series of 3 podiums that we will have for Coppa Shell. We'll stay with you as long as we can to bring as much as we can, but here's some of the highlights of the other action that's going on here at Mugello across this World Final weekends, and there are not many better looking cars than these, in my opinion. Absolutely phenomenal. Form part of the Ferrari show tomorrow, but out here in demonstration today, looking absolutely fantastic and sounding awesome too around this circuit. I do believe that could be our hotel that you can see in the background behind the entrance to the Mugello circuit. I might be wrong. There is the 2016 calendar then, and as I revealed, the Finali Mondiali in 2016 to be held at the world-famous Daytona circuit in the US of A. Before that, we'll go to Monza, Mugello, Le Mans, Sochi in Russia, Hockenheim and Jerez de la Frontera in Spain.